My job is all about purpose.
Just the ability to make a difference, to help someone be able to go home at the end of the day.
My great-grandfather started the volunteer fire department in Springfield, Nebraska. My grandmother was a nurse. My uncle was a fire chief in Atlanta, Georgia. So somewhere down the line, it was my purpose to be doing this.
Yeah, we're a family here.
The data we get from Rapid SOS is life-saving.
Have you ever met a 911 professional and asked, what's the worst call you've ever taken? Well, here's your answer. I heard your last breath the night you flipped your four-wheeler. I tried to call you the day you committed suicide by driving your car into a tree. Blue face, cold to the touch. I helped you with CPR after you found your infant face down, not breathing. It messed me up. I did everything I could, but it wasn't enough. You were with me from the beginning, Grandma. 27 years later, I took the 911 call when you died. How fitting to be there for me in the beginning, and I was there for you in the end. I miss you, Grandma. I am 911. This is but a glimpse into the world of emergency dispatch. But what is it really like to answer a call during someone's nightmare? What is the impact of the first responder answering the call? Available on Amazon or where you purchase your favorite books and ebooks. Imagine listening. Your worst day is our everyday.
This is Jordan, and you're listening to the Code 7 Podcast Network.
Warning. This episode contains the 3 A's of podcasting: adult content, adult language, and awesomeness. You've been warned. But I wanted it to be raw and in your face. I wanted those reading these short stories to really feel like they were there with us, to really know what it's like. Because a lot of this sticks with us. And also, like I've said for years, it's because we're human too.
Welcome to Within the Trenches, true stories from the 911 dispatchers who live them.
Good enough. Good enough? That's how we're going to start this. Oh, man. Yeah, I have been all over the place this morning already, and that's how this starts. Good afternoon, everyone. It is August 24th, 2026. Today, we celebrate a decade of voices. 10 years of the I Am 911 movement. What a milestone. And, maybe that what happened just a moment ago is because I'm nervous. Yeah. It's because I'm nervous. I go live all the time. I'm always posting content, putting videos out there and everything. And this is the most nervous I've been in a while. But again, it's because of what we're doing today. As I said, decade of voices. The I Am 911 movement. 10 years, man. 10 years of powerful stories. Recognition of the thin gold line. Bringing these voices within the trenches of 911 to the table. They've always been there. They've always been there. Just needed a little nudge. And that's what we did 10 years ago today. So
I've got three big announcements that I want to share. But of course, it wouldn't be me if I didn't tell some stories and start sharing a lot of how this all happened, how this went down, and it's it's been an experience. It has been humbling. It's been an honor. There have been a lot of moments that have also been heartbreaking. But most importantly, your stories going out there around the world. And we did this together. That's one of the biggest things. We did all of this together. As I've said in the past, and I'll say it again, I might have started this, but it's because of all of you that it is what it is today, what it became, this global phenomenon, and also what has been hailed as the single greatest public education campaign for 911. So we start off in the beginning. 10 years ago today, it was the week after the National APCO conference that was in Orlando. Both big organizations were fighting for your reclassification the same way that they are today. And one of the things that they were looking for, on top of everything else, were stories. And I had been sharing dispatch stories for years already. And I thought, maybe I can help. But in order to help, I want to do this a different way. I want to do this through the power of storytelling, but I wanted it to be raw and in your face. I wanted those reading these short stories to really feel like they were there with us, to really know what it's like. Because a lot of this sticks with us. And also, like I've said for years, it's because we're human too. Every time we answer the call, we might sound calm, cool, collected, voice level, right? But in the back of our minds, we're freaking out along with you. Again, because we're human. We're not drones. There's so much more to it. So I wanted to create a meme. And I wanted each image to amplify the story that was being shared. And I want to put on screen the story that I put out there, the story that started out the entire movement. I heard your last breath the night you flipped your four-wheeler. Hashtag I am 911. And the reason I did it this way, I heard, or I am, I was, all of this is because not only am I claiming that call that I was part of it, but also to me it's another form of communication. It's like I'm reaching out to that caller to say that, you know, if they were ever to read this, because I'm never going to meet these folks who called, right? But if they ever read this, or maybe even someone who was in a similar situation, they would know that they were not alone, and they would also know that they still stick with me. And other folks have said to me many times, like, where's the rest of the story? I know there's more to the story. And I told them, this might sound harsh, but it's done this way by design. Okay. Because one of the big things that we deal with is that we don't always get closure. So the reader does not get closure either. And I thought, hopefully something happens. Hopefully I'll post this and people will submit some of their own stories as well. But I'll be honest, when I was sitting at my in-laws' house after designing this, I had my finger right above the button to post, to click and post. And I was nervous as hell because, again, I didn't know what was going to happen. It could very well fail, and it'll just be an image out there, and that's it. But I asked people to do the same thing. And I asked people to send in their stories, and we would share it for them. Or just send in the text, and we'll create the meme for you if you don't know how to create one. And I think that's what really set it off as well, because the amount of stories that came in over that weekend, holy moly. Excuse me. When I was, after I had hit to post, because I said this earlier today. Yes, I was nervous to do it, but also at the same time, I did not want to have that regret. I didn't want to have the regret of not doing it and not knowing. That would have been way worse, and I was not about to do that. So I just hit post, and it posted. And right after that, my son Logan and I ended up driving from my in-laws to my mom's, which is only about 10 minutes or so. And in that time, my phone kept dinging and going off and going off and going off. And it was all from Facebook. And I remember my son saying, "Dad, what did you do?" And I said, "I think I struck a chord, bud. I think I struck a chord." And then I remember sitting at the dinner table at my mom's, and I remember this too because as we're sitting there, she's like, "Get off of your phone." And my mom is in the audience here right now. She's saying, "I'm so proud of you and all the dispatchers out there for the job that they do every day, always in my prayers. Thank you, Mom. I love you." And I had been looking at my phone because the amount of stories that were coming in, the amount of comments, just all of it. I mean, it exploded. It exploded to the point where I needed to create a photo album for the stories. I needed to recruit friends as admins to help me share these stories because they were just coming in and coming in and coming in and coming in. And to all of you, my friends, the admins that I brought in to help me during that time and after, thank you so, so very much. You know very well how crazy that was, especially because I wanted each response to have a personal response. I didn't want someone to just say, "Hey, thanks for your story," and that's it. No, 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 I did not want that. The whole point of this in the beginning was to raise awareness for the reclassification issue, to show and prove the difference between us, 911 dispatchers, call takers, emergency communication specialists, all of the above, the difference between us and the admin class, the clerical class. But don't get it twisted. Don't get me wrong. There's nothing against those who work in admin or anything or clerical work. It's just we deserve to be in that protective class with police, fire, EMS, waste management, lifeguards, all of it. So we were sharing these stories and literally opening the eyes of millions around the world to what we do, why we do it, and that a lot of these calls stick with us. Now, the majority are horrifying, but there are a lot of saves in there as well. So again, we're sharing all of these stories. 2 days later, I'm at my in-laws' house because we hadn't left yet. We were still in Florida. We were there for 2 weeks. 1 week for that National APCO conference, and then the next week for like actual vacation. And I remember staying up. It was after 1 in the morning, and I'm sharing story after story after story. And I thought, I think I need to address this on the podcast because there are so many stories coming from everywhere that I need to let more people know what is going on and what's up with all of the I am 911 stories. Because it spread fast, very fast. The amount of people sharing. I mean, my sisters, I think were I don't remember if they were at the very end of college or what it was, or maybe just at work. I don't remember exactly. What I do remember, though, is that my sisters ended up saying to me, a friend of mine just out of the blue said, "You should see these stories. They're I am 911 stories. They're these little short stories with the hashtag of I am 911." And one of my sisters says, she chuckled and said to her friend, "Yeah, my brother started that." And she goes, "What?" So it's coming from all over the place. And folks who had nothing to do with 911 or anything, they're all reading these stories and sharing them. So 2 days later, when I realize I need to do something else and talk about it on the podcast, I end up hooking up just one microphone cord and a recorder to record a quick episode. I'm pretty sure it was Within the Trenches episode 114. 114. 114. That's what I just said. 114. And I say this that way because I just put out episode 667. Yeah. That's how long ago it was. But here's kind of the funny part as well, okay? I couldn't record it in there. I was in the living room. My father-in-law would get up very early in the morning to go to work. And I didn't want to wake him up. So I went outside in the middle of the night probably while a bunch of chupacabras are running around in the orange groves. And I go and sit in my car getting just straight up eaten up by mosquitoes. And I start recording. You might even be able to hear the crickets outside. Like, it's almost 2 in the morning by this point, I think. And in that short episode, I talk about the movement that I started and why and what it's all about. And in those first few days, and even going into that weekend of that when it launched, it had exploded so much. A friend of mine in Canada, his name's Lloyd, dispatcher out there, he ends up reaching out to me and says, "Hey, bro, we are sharing all of our stories out here as well." And, Canada's 911 as well. And I said, "Thank you. I appreciate it." And, I told him how crazy it was getting, that we're trying to put the stories out there as fast as possible. And then he reaches out again. I don't remember if it was later that day or the day after, but he reaches out again. And he says, "You need to go to Twitter," when it was Twitter, before it turned into X. And he says, "You need to look it up because the hashtag is now trending at number 3. And I thought, what? What? And sure enough, I mean, I went and looked. There was so much talk on Twitter about the movement and these stories. And there was one that I will never forget. Someone who had nothing to do with public safety shared some of the stories and said, "Have you seen the stories of I Am 911? Some of them are so gut-wrenching, but also so powerful. I have so much respect for the people who do this job." Other people saying that they could never do it. And I just started taking screenshots. I have them somewhere. I have them somewhere. And I just thought, holy moly, this is getting way bigger than I thought it was going to be. And there was a local news outlet in Louisiana, I believe. And they had gone out to one of their local dispatch centers. And 1, they toured the center. 2, they interviewed dispatchers there. And 3, they also wanted me to be on for one of those to talk about it. And I thought, wow, this is getting crazy. But the media picked it up. They were going to their dispatch centers to check it out and to talk to those 911 heroes about reclassification and about these stories. And people were learning so much. And they continued. They have been ever since then. But it was so eye-opening to people during that time. So Lloyd gets a hold of me and he goes, "Hey, you need to go back to Twitter, man. It's reached and gone across the pond." And I said, what? And he goes, "Go look. Dispatchers from the UK were sharing their stories with I Am 999. And I was blown away. And it's interesting too, mentioning that as well, because earlier today, 11:45 a.m. Eastern time, myself Yes, right there. And my good friend Roxy Van Gundy out of Kansas. We were on the BBC today, live. It was awesome. It stems from a nuisance type call that they shared out there. And the BBC reached out to me and they wanted to know if I wanted to be on and if there was someone else that I knew who was currently, working and all in dispatch who would like to be on as well. And I said, of course, I know exactly who to reach out to. And it was my homie Roxy, and we got a chance to be on the BBC. They asked us about nuisance calls, but they also asked us what it takes to be in the profession, what it's like to answer some of these calls. We shared a few stories, but also the toll that it takes. So that was an honor to be on the BBC. And to hear them also say in the most amazing accent, not just our names, but also, them mentioning Within the Trenches podcast. I was like, oh, how cool is that? So awesome. So what an honor. And thank you, my friend. Yes, holy moly indeed. We were on the BBC. So I'm looking up those stories, and there's stories from the UK. And then it went further, and the stories were now down under. People were sharing their stories under I am 000. I even was interviewed for an article that was in a magazine in Australia somewhere. I don't even remember now exactly where in Australia, but I remember they sent it to me and I took screenshots and I have that somewhere as well. So there was news stories all over the place. I mean, one of the craziest things is that I believe somewhere in Arizona they had done a story about I am 911 stories, but also about and I know some of you are watching in dispatch, so I'm not going to say the word, but the Q word room is is where they had gone. And why did they go in there? Because they wanted the community to know of the existence of that room and specifically why it's there. That if a 911 professional takes a tough call and if they have a moment, they can go in there and decompress. But again, if they have a moment to do so. You didn't see stuff like that before. Stuff in the news, all you would see is when we're doing something wrong. And now it had changed. Everyone was looking at the thin gold line for the heroes that they are. That recognition, that seat at the table. The most important person you will never see was now in the spotlight. People were listening. People were learning. And some people were reading these stories, and they also joined the thin gold line. They were that inspired by your stories that they joined as well and wanted to be a part of something bigger than themselves. So you have this movement going global. The bigger organizations also sharing as well. But I'll be honest, there were some people out there who thought, this isn't going to work. People aren't going to want to read these stories. People are not going to be able to use this for recruitment. And it was the complete opposite. Because what started out as a way to raise awareness for reclassification and continues to help all of these years later quickly turned into peer support. Because more people started to realize that they were not alone. That we're all dealing with something similar, but also that it's okay to talk about it. That if you're ready, there are people there willing and ready to listen to you because they're going through some shit too. We realized that it was okay to be okay. And what comes after that? When you walk through that door, you start talking, you start sharing. Whether it's through therapy or your coworkers, friends, family, whatever the case may be, or anonymously sending in a story. When people were sending in these stories, they were saying how much better they felt because it was therapeutic, cathartic. One person I will never forget saying that their hands were still shaking from typing out the story that they had just shared. But they said thank you because now they had an outlet and they were able to start working on themselves because they realized again that they were not alone. We were finding comfort, healing, and some form of closure through the power of storytelling. We were connecting, supporting each other. And a couple things that I never expected. One thing that I did expect, though, and that was those out in the field sending in messages saying, thank you. Because they know that when they hear a certain voice on the radio, they know that they're going to be okay. That they find comfort in your voice. I mean, how many of you realize how powerful you are in your story, but also your voice? It's a lot of power. It's a lot of pressure too. But we are the ones who were able to do it. Now, don't get it twisted. Because again, I'm a firm believer that, even though we sound calm, cool, collected, that voice is level, sometimes people might think, oh, they're cold. They don't care. There's no tone switch in their voice. No, that's not it at all. Because it's our job to keep you calm and to keep those on the other side of the radio calm and also those around us calm. But in the back of our minds, we're freaking out just like you. Why? Because we are human. I've been saying it for years. And I owe it to my first trainer, Harry, back in 2001, when he said to me, there are 3 things that you need to be in this profession. 1 is common sense, 2 is thick skin, and 3, you have to be human. And that is always stuck with me. Always. So the thing that I wasn't expecting, though, was for callers to send in their version of an I Am 911 story. by saying something to the effect of, if it wasn't for the dispatcher who took my call that night, I might not be here today. I might have taken my own life, but it was because of that person that I'm still here. Thank you. And I added that as well, started sharing those stories. Those are also part of the I Am 911 movement. I wanted everyone who was reading those stories to know how important you are, that you might not ever know the impact of your work, but know that you do impact everyone that you talk to. Again, that's how powerful you are. If you haven't had that full circle moment yet, one day you will. And you will realize how important you are. And I hope you know that already, just in general, how important you are to this profession, those out on the road, those around you. Also your family, your friends. All of the above. So the stories continue to be shared. About a month later, I ended up doing a broadcast, and it's still out there on Facebook and YouTube, where I wanted to share the analytics. I wanted to share the numbers. And in that video, I think it's called like I Am 911 status, something like that. And in that video, I share that up until that point, there was over and almost 35, but over 34 million engagements. That's a lot of engagements. That's a lot of interactions. I mean, there are blogs that people were sharing. There's kind of a famous one, and rest in peace, the person who started it. I think it's called Scary Mommy. Like, they even shared a blog post about these stories and what it means, what it's all about. It was all over the place. The photo album alone has been shared over 250,000 times. It has over 16,000 reactions and over 10,000 comments just on that photo album. I don't know that I will ever be able to get in there and pull every single story out, but I am damn sure going to try, because there are so many of them still in the comments of that photo album and individual images, but also the inbox. And just to also share the power of your stories. There was one day where someone commented on one of the stories and said, I can't say why because this is a public forum, but I just wanted to say thank you to whoever started this. And like any good dispatcher, I investigate and I find the person, and we had a chat. And the person just simply said that they were in a dark place. And you know what I mean when I say that they were in a dark place. And they had felt like this for a little while. And that somehow they stumbled upon the photo album of all of these stories that were submitted for the movement. And they read through every single story. And at the end, they no longer wanted to do what they had been feeling that they wanted to do to themselves. And there were two reasons. One reason was because they didn't want their family to find them in whatever way they decided to do what they were going to do. And the other reason was that after reading all the stories and seeing how this impacts the 911 professionals of the world, they did not want their story to end up having a negative impact on the person, whoever took that call. And they said, thank you. And then they said, you will never know the impact of what you've done. And I had to sit with that for a little bit, because how do you respond to that? I did finally respond. And thank them, and I was glad that they were okay. But I still think about that person every now and then, and I hope that they did stay okay. But just like you, and just like I said before, you're probably never going to know the impact of what you do in this profession, but just know that it's there and that people have felt it. So the movement continues. And before I move to this next part, I want to share a couple stories with you. Now, a warning. A warning. Sometimes these stories can be hard, okay? But I'm going to read you two of them that were recently submitted and that I will be putting out there as well. So let me read you the first one here. Excuse me. It was a bright autumn day in 1999. I was working for the Christiansburg Police Department, and my partner, Deborah, and I were the only two dispatchers on duty. She was brand new. I had almost a year under my belt, which, at the time, felt like forever. Just a block and a half away, in a small house above the police department, lived a family we knew too well. Calls from that address had become familiar. Loud arguments, fear, children caught in the middle. That day, the oldest child, a boy about 9 or 10, came running barefoot into the police department. He was wearing only shorts. His hair was tousled, his face blotchy from tears. He twisted his hands together and shifted from foot to foot as he told us, Mom and Dad are fighting again. Dad has a knife. Officers responded, and an arrest was made. Not long after, maybe because of this incident, maybe because of all the others like it, the children were permanently removed from that home and placed permanently with another family. All these years later, I can still see that boy's face as clearly as if it were yesterday. The fear in his eyes, the weight on his small shoulders. I still find myself wondering where he is now, how old he'd be, whether he's built a good life, whether he found peace after so much chaos. I pray he's happy. I pray he's healed. Because that's what it means to be 911. We carry their voices long after the call ends. I am 911. I am still 911. And thank you to the person who sent that in. I spoke to this person actually earlier today, as well as the person who submitted the next story that I'm about to read. I answered the phone when you called 911 after shooting yourself in the back of the head with a nail gun. You were walking and talking, and I stayed on the phone with you until help arrived. We talked about your business failing because of the economy, and about your German Shepherd. I had one too. You were scared and crying, and I said it was okay to cry. Toward the end of the call, you started feeling dizzy, and I asked you to sit down. When deputies got there, you thanked me for being with you. The next day, I found out the nail missed every vital part of your brain, and you were expected to fully recover. I think about you all the time and wonder if you did. I hope you're okay. I am 911. A big thanks to both of the folks who submitted their stories, and to everyone who has ever submitted a story, but also just simply to all of you for what you do in our profession. Not a lot of people can do this. You know, shortly after I launched the I Am 911 movement, I added a segment to it called Project I Am 911. What I wanted to do was I wanted to pull the curtain back even more. I asked people to take a picture of themselves or with their crew in dispatch, outside of dispatch, in everyday life. And I wanted them to write down I am 911 on their hands and just show it. And people got really creative with it as well. The first version of that video, with the amount of photos that came in, was like 20 minutes long, and I thought nobody's going to watch that. So I cut it down as much as possible. So the next video I'm going to play is this video from 10 years ago. And it's like 6 minutes long, so please bear with me. And the song that goes along with this video, I honestly don't remember how I found it. I think someone sent it to me and said, you should check this out. But it was by a dispatcher out of, I believe, North Dakota. And I'm going to say this right off the bat. I know that there are a lot of songs about 911, and they're all great. But in my opinion, just my personal opinion, this one is my number one favorite. And this dispatcher, her name is Bailey Johnson. And I can't remember if she still dispatches or not. We're still friends on Facebook. I should check it out. I see her all the time. I just don't see her with, sometimes people will post pictures with their headset or, hey, I'm going into work. I see more so pictures of her and her family. And I will just always be grateful to her because I asked permission to use her song to go along with this video, and I just feel like it fits perfectly, especially the lyrics. And the song is called I Am Waiting. So I want to share this with you. I will say that some of the words that come across the screen in the beginning and at the end, they move pretty fast. So I apologize. But I wanted to show the faces of those who make up the I Am 911 movement, the folks that are in this profession, answering calls day in, day out, humanizing that voice within the trenches of 911. It's what I wanted to do with this portion. And that photo album is still there as well. So that's what I'm going to show you next. And then some reveals and some announcements. I've been holding them close. There are a very few people that know, but it'll be worth it. So hang tight with me as I show you this next video.
From the minute I walk in the door to the time I sit across from that screen, I am waiting. We don't pick the calls, we don't dare play God, we don't have the time to wait. From the man in the accident to the mother whose child won't breathe, just breathe. To the heroes who wear a badge, you want home safely. Oh, I am waiting. I'm the voice that brings the light in all your nightmares come true. I'm the calm in all the noise. Oh, I am waiting. You may not understand why I need all of these things, but I promise I'm a helping hand, and I will see to all of your needs. Yeah. From the man in the accident to the mother whose child won't breathe, just breathe. To the hero who wears the badge, you want home safely. Oh, I am waiting. I'm the voice that brings the light in all your nightmares come true. Calm in all the noise. Oh, I am waiting. And all the ones I've lost will forever be a part of me. I feel it in my bones every time I pick up that phone. man in the accident, to the mother whose child won't breathe. Just breathe. To the hero who wears a badge that you want home safely. Oh, I am waiting. What's your emergency? From the man in the accident to the mother whose child won't breathe. Just breathe. To the hero who wears the badge that you want home safely. Oh, I am waiting. I'm the voice that brings the light amidst your nightmares come true. I'm the calm in all the noise, oh, I am waiting. What's your emergency? What's your emergency? From the man in the accident to the mother whose child won't breathe. Just breathe. To the hero who wears the badge you want home safely. Oh, I am waiting. I'm the voice that brings the light in all your nightmares come true. Calm in all the noise, oh, I am waiting. And all the ones I've lost will forever be a part of me. I feel it in my bones every time I pick up that phone.
You know, as I said earlier when I played this the first time, is someone cutting onions in here? That one always gets me. I mean, the video that shares a lot of I Am 911 stories, of course, that gets me as well. But I see a lot of people react a lot more to this one that I just showed you. And I think it's because we see a lot of ourselves and our coworkers in every one of these pictures that you see. All of these folks saying that they too are 911. And then you add the music in the background, the lyrics, again written, performed by Bailey Johnson, I Am Waiting. And it just gets you in the feels. Thank you, Bailey, for, again, allowing me to add your song to this video showing all of these folks, 911 professionals from all over, doing something not a lot of people can do. And I'm humbled and honored to experience this with all of you. Because like I said before, I started this, but if it wasn't for all of you, it would not be what it is today or what it has been for over 10 years. Again, decade of voices. So I thank all of you, because it's because of the work that you do in your stories that the movement continues to grow. And you guys are my why. So that's the story. The beginning of the movement. Project I Am 911, the reveal, the faces behind these stories. All over the world, it was like the thin gold line from all over came together to show who we are, what we do, why we do it. And that no one can do it better than us. So when it comes to storytelling, the sharing of these powerful stories, the movement, Imagine Listening, all of you, accept no substitutes. And for 10 years, we have been together sharing stories, your stories, recruiting people through that power of storytelling, and opening the eyes of literally millions around the world to this profession, this career. And it continues. As I said, I have a few things that I want to reveal today. 3 big announcements. For years, all of these stories have been spread out all over social media, and they will continue to be shared on social media, yes. But a lot of these platforms, too, have also been deleting a lot of things. Like this live broadcast right now, after 30 days, Facebook deletes it. They no longer keep them. It's up to me to keep them, right? So, I just started thinking there has to be a way to preserve in a better way these stories, because I read as well, like, oh, this post disappeared or this disappeared. What do we do? So I started working on more stuff on top of traveling, conferences, deaths in the family, medical emergencies, all kinds of things going on. But I wanted to do this. One of the announcements that I really wanted to do was to reveal Imagine Listening Volume 2 audiobook. However, and don't get it twisted, it is coming, but that I'm not revealing today. Because what I ended up doing and what ended up coming to be was way more important, in my opinion, than finishing the audiobook. Believe me, it's going to happen. But what we're doing today, celebrating this decade of voices, 10 years of the I Am 911 movement, is honoring the voices of today, the voices of tomorrow, but also the preservation of the voices that came before us, the voices of the past. Because there's something very important that I have learned over all of these years of doing what I do, and that is never forgetting the voices that came before us, that respect and the preservation of those voices, those stories that came before. And those three are part of what I'm going to reveal here today. And if you've been paying attention to some of my videos, some of the things that I've been posting all the way up to today, even the behind the scenes of the audiobook, I've been talking about a home for these stories. And I get to reveal that to you today. There are very few people who know what I'm about to show you, but you're all going to see it now. And if you are part of the Trenches community, you saw it weeks ago because I did a soft launch, which means you just simply launch it. You tell a few people. If people stumble upon it, awesome. And then you do the actual launch. And that's what I did with this. That's what I did with the home. So let me share this with you, finally. This, my friends, I present to you imaginelistening.com. I have been holding on to this domain for years, and I have finally put it out there. Here it is, a home, a secure home for all of the I Am 911 stories, all of the If I Could Tell You One Thing stories. They are all going to remain here on imaginelistening.com. Imagine listening. Your worst day is our everyday. As you see right up there, Decade of Voices, 2016 through 2026. In the moment of crisis, I am the voice within the trenches. This is what I am calling the living archive of voices, not just stories. Voices. A living archive. And you can go there now and see this for yourself as you're watching this with me. 10 years of the I Am 911 movement, millions of engagements, voices heard worldwide. One voice can change the world. One voice, your voice. You've got this living archive. You've got the Imagine Listening podcast. All of it is here. Black and gold and some gray. Why? Because, and this is one of the most important things, because when I do things, I do it with intention. And there's reason. And it's because when I started Imagine Listening as well, which that 10-year anniversary is coming up in just a few months, there were cards that I had for people to write down their stories that were this color scheme. They go along with those cards. So we start with the archive. A living archive of voices. Every story matters. Every voice belongs. This archive continues to grow as 911 dispatchers from around the world share their experiences anonymously, because they deserve more than a scroll. While many of these voices share hope, resilience, and lives saved, others contain descriptions of traumatic events that some readers may find difficult. So please read with care. But also, your story matters too. With this button, you can now click and go to a spot where you can fill out for your own story. I have said in the past If you have a story that you want to share, you can email it to this email or to inboxes and social media. Well, this is the home now, and you can do it from here. And you can scroll through and read the different stories that have been submitted. And every Thursday, I will be sharing 4 news stories. Stories from the present and the past. Some of the stories are a little smaller to read. And if you need to, you can simply click on one and it'll bring it up so that you can read further. That's the archive. We can go to listen. More and more of the Imagine Listening sessions that have been shared, or recorded rather, over these 10 years will be added here as new episodes that are coming out. You can subscribe on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify, iHeartRadio, wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts, you can find Imagine Listening. Your worst day is our everyday. And then we go to watch. This is where it all started. A compilation of videos, stories, Project I Am 911, short stories here, but then you can click here to go to YouTube to find the rest of them. I will be adding more as we go along, but these are the main ones to watch. And then books. Because of the I Am 911 stories that were submitted, they were also turned into 2 different books. Imagine Listening, Volume 1 and Volume 2. Now, I want to explain this color scheme here as well, because again, done with intention, with a purpose, a reason. And it's because during Imagine Listening, that very first one, when I asked people who wanted to share a story out loud, and no one wanted to be the first person to do it, I said to them, if you want to write down the story, you can do so. This color combination is a light cream, almost like a piece of paper. And that is why this is the color scheme here, the lighter side. You've got the darkness and then the lighter side. Things that I've talked about as well. But that is where this color scheme comes from, because of the paper that the stories have been written down on, like a worn, older piece of paper with a story for someone to read. That is the intention behind the color schemes here. You can choose to purchase Volume 1, Volume 2, the audiobook for Volume 1, and then down at the bottom, the development of Volume 3, the development of a book specifically for If I Could Tell You One Thing, and then, of course, my own dispatch memoir that is in development. There's a shop as well. Talk about journaling, different I Am 911 shirts, sweatshirts, Imagine Listening, all of it. Just a few things that you can see here, but you can go to the store for the full. And then, of course, we have About. Just talks a little bit about myself, but also, again, where you can submit a story. That is ImagineListening.com. It took a long time to get all of that put together. But it's there, available for anyone and everyone to go and look at. So I thank you for your patience. If anyone has been emailing me or texting me and I have not responded yet, it has been crazy leading up to this day. But again, instead of the audiobook, I stopped it completely. It's coming out, but I stopped it because this is what I wanted to do. And that was to have a home for all of these stories. Again, they will still show up on social media and such, but this is where they will be added where you can send people to read these stories. Now, I mentioned that we were honoring the voices of the present, the future, and the preservation of the past. And this one here is one that I am so excited about. And it was very personal to me to be able to do this and do it in a way as a tribute and honor. So some of you may know this, some of you may not. I've talked about it a little bit already in other episodes and leading up to this day. Years ago when I was in dispatch, I had no idea that there was so much more out there outside of my dispatch center. And I don't remember how, but I found a website, a blog called Dispatch Magazine Online. At the time, the editor-in-chief was Gary Allen. Gary's website, that blog, was my window to what else was out there in the world of this profession. And I would check it daily, religiously, to find out more news. And when I started my crowdfunding for the podcast, I reached out to him. I sent him an email. I told him how much I loved his website and how much it helped me. And that I wanted to share my project with him. Again, which was Within the Trenches podcast. What I was trying to raise $1,500 so I could buy the equipment to create more episodes. And I told him I wasn't looking for any money and that I just wanted to share my project with him, and that if he believed in it, to just share the link. That's it. And a couple hours later, I got a response from him. And I remember looking at my coworkers, I was like, he wrote back. I what am I gonna do? I was freaking out. And they're like, why don't you just go? Go look and see what's going on. And I said, okay, yeah. And I went to the training room, opened up my laptop, and I checked the email. And Gary said that he fully believed in my project. He loved it. He was also going to contribute a little bit, and he was going to write up just a little blurb and put it out on his blog, and hoped that it would help. And I remember getting emotional, and I said, thank you so much. You have no idea. And within 24 hours, I ended up surpassing my goal. I think I ended up getting $1,717. And I will always be grateful to Gary for that. Again, he was my window to the outside. And everything that I've been talking about, what I've learned, to not forget the voices of the past, those who set the stage, those who passed the torch. And I remember one of the companies that actually ended up being a part of this Kickstarter was the company that I ended up going to work for later when I left dispatch, and I worked for them for almost 10 years. I was lucky enough, though, that I had Gary on episode 43. And I got to hear his story. It was the very first version of what would turn into, years later, the Dispatchers Roundtable. And I also have that blog entry where he talks about what I was doing, and he gives the update that within 24 hours they surpassed it. We kept in touch, and then we lost touch. And then one day I'm sitting at work. I'm just doing some searches. I don't remember exactly where I was at, but I saw an article that Gary had passed away. And it was a gut punch. And my boss, Mark, was sitting a few cubicles in front of me. And I went over to him and I said, "Hey, I don't know if you knew Gary Allen or not, but I just heard that he passed away. Or I just read that he passed away." And he was taken back by it as well. And we had a moment. He told me that that Gary used to go to the iPhone reveals. He would wait in line for that experience to get a phone and stuff, and then he would write about it. And I thought, oh, no way. That's pretty cool to hear. I didn't know that about him. And I said, well, I just wanted to let you know. And then I went to walk away, and he pulls me back. And he says, I don't know if you know this, but I think I should tell you. He goes, Gary and I were really good friends. And I said, what? Because I had no idea. And he says, yeah. Gary is actually the one who reached out to me and told me about you and what you were doing. He said, you need to check out what this guy is doing. He's from 911 and he has a technical background. Maybe he can help you too. He goes, and I did. And I loved what I saw. And here we are. And I say this because you never know who is connected to who and how they will impact your life. But I didn't know this until after he had passed away. And Mark gave me a hug. And I went and sat down and just started bawling. Because I never would have thought that we were connected like that. And I'll always be grateful for that connection, but I will always be grateful to Gary for what he provided for me while I was in dispatch. And for what he gave me as well. Because I guess what I didn't realize was that he was kind of passing the torch to me in a way to continue to share these stories and what is going on the outside of the centers of your ECC. So with that said, it brings me to my next announcement. And if you were ever able to go to his website, you would see that there was also an audio library. Pages and pages of calls. And one of the last emails that he sent me, he gave me permission to use his audio library to however I saw fit. And that website got lost. Lost to the internet because nobody was running it anymore. But there is something called the Wayback Machine, and I was able to find that website. And about 97% of those calls. So as I talk about the voices of the present, the future, and the preservation of the past, I am honored and excited to share with you the Gary Allan Legacy Collection. Preserving the history of 911, one recording at a time. For years, Gary Allan of Dispatch Magazine Online collected and preserved recordings that documented the history of emergency communications, from everyday calls for help to incidents that became part of our collective memory. Much of that original archive disappeared from the modern web. This collection preserves Gary's work and makes these recordings accessible again, not simply as audio files, but as pieces of 911 history. This originally curated by Gary Allan, but preserved by Imagine Listening. And I made sure to add a thank you to Gary for giving me permission to do what I saw fit with his collection. And I will always be grateful to Gary for sharing my project over a decade ago and for being one of the people who believed what I was doing from day one. Rest in peace, brother. So there are 18 reels, 662 archive entries, 681 audio recordings preserved. And here they are. Reel 1 through 18, all available for you. This is why this was so much more important than that audio book. Because Gary did something for me that I will always be grateful for. And I want to preserve the voices of the past, those who set the stage, those who pass the torch. So just looking at reel 1 here, exploring it, opens right up. Every single one of these in this audio library, this takes you back to the main one. Navigation here to the next reel. If you don't know what the North Hollywood bank robbery is, well, get ready. I'm not going to play it now. It's 44 minutes long. But I'm just saying it's available for you. If you don't know what this call is, bro, there are movies that are inspired by this real incident that happened, where two guys in body armor go to a bank, rob it, and come out with machine guns. Officers everywhere. And what do they have to fight back with? Revolvers. It was enough that they had to go to pawn shops to get heavier artillery to be able to fight back. All of it is captured right here. This is the original description that Gary had. and your audio recording that you can listen to. Some of these you'll see where it says no audio link or original archive. Again, just over 97% has been preserved. The others just missing. The call for JonBenet Ramsey, the call for crashes, shootings, just all kinds of things, all of them here available for you now in this preservation of the Gary Allen Legacy Collection. That is ImagineListening.com. Two major announcements there. One last one. And then we will wrap this up. But I thank you for being here with me to celebrate this decade of voices, 10 years of the I Am 911 movement. And the rest of the day, I'll be posting other stories, sharing reels of what I have shown here today, especially the Gary Allen Legacy Collection. All of that audio there now available. And I know that some folks were able to download a lot of those from back then and create their own libraries. This one, the difference is that it's all the original, the way he wrote it, and everything that's in there. You might find something that says read more, but there's no link because there's nothing else to go to because those posts they don't exist any longer. But the audio is there for you to be able to go back and listen. Edie, it is ImagineListening.com. And I will be posting all of this on social media as well. So now for the final announcement. This one I'm very excited about. But, well, I'm not going to set it up. I'm just going to play it for you. And that'll be that. So here we go. For 10 years, we've shared our stories in conference rooms, hotel ballrooms, classrooms, podcasts, books. And today, those stories finally have a place to call home. But what about the people behind them? What if there was a place where we didn't have to rush because another class was about to begin? A place where there was time to talk, time to listen, time to laugh, time to fully open up, and maybe time to rest. A place where we could finally come up for air. There it is. And that's all you're getting. In the comments, you can guess. But if you know, don't say. Because again, there's a very, very small amount of people that know what that is all about. but it's something that I am very excited about. And I'll just put this on the screen really quick. Jen's like, what? Jeez. Yep. That is all I am saying for now. And I'm going to be posting this video as well all over social media. And I want to see what people think it is. All I can say is that it will be worth it. Edie, Edie, I love you. You are a master at suspense. So annoying. Oh, you're the best, Edie. Oh, man. Yep. You'll find out soon. But that's all that one is right there. Put my villain, do my villain laugh with my cat. Oh, man. A decade of voices. Oh, over here on Instagram, I have somebody who says, if you were at Michigan Nina, are we all thinking the same thing? If you were at Michigan Nina, you might just have an idea of what this is about. That's a big hint right there. Oh, snaps. But don't say anything. Don't say anything. Don't say anything. This is the fun part. But Susie over here on Instagram, you can shoot me an inbox message, but keep it to yourself. She just put a bunch of emojis with the zip lip. Yes. Oh, man. This has been amazing. Thank you all for a decade of voices. And in more than 2 months, because it's only August. In a few months, December 22nd, 2026, we will also be celebrating a decade of listening. Because it'll be the 10th anniversary of Imagine Listening. Your worst day is our everyday. But again, thank you for making the I Am 911 movement what it is. For these 10 years, for everything that you do in this profession. Because together, not just me, together, all of us, we opened the eyes of millions around the world with our stories, our voice, being there for each other in support of what we do, finding some form of closure and healing through the power of storytelling, recognizing each other. We did this together. And we will continue to share these stories. We will continue to open eyes to even more millions of people around the world to what it is that you do, why you do it, the purpose. Sharing these stories that are so powerful and also so therapeutic. Whether the hard ones, the sad ones, the good ones, the saves, the lighthearted. We've all done this together. I might be the one pushing it out there, but it's because of all of you that I am able to do that. It's because of your trust in me to share your stories that all of this is what it is today. So thank you. Keep doing what you do. Kick ass, take names, show this world what we are about. Thank you for everything that you do. And here's to another decade of the I Am 911 movement, the power of storytelling, imagine listening, and coming soon, what you just saw. Have a good one, everyone. I love you guys. Let's keep showing them what's up. Again, here's to another decade of voices, and the I Am 911 movement continues.
Imagine listening to someone's worst day every single day. Imagine listening as someone experiences life through their worst nightmare to the miracle of birth or a life saved. I'm Ricardo Martinez, a former 911 dispatcher, and for years, I've been recording the voices of a hidden world, ours. I've provided a space for 911 dispatchers to share their powerful stories. It started as a peer support session and continues. Dispatchers sitting together, sharing out loud, or writing down what they couldn't say. Some stories will grip you. Stories of heartbreak, resilience, and calls that haunt us long after the line goes quiet. But imagine listening is more than heavy emotion. It's about healing. It's about laughing through the chaos, lifting each other up, and reminding the world that dispatchers are human too. The lighthearted will balance the heavy. Experience the power of storytelling, a podcast for the thin gold line and those who want to understand it. This is Imagine Listening. Your worst day is our everyday. Subscribe now wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts.